Hello YouTube, back with the next Yu-Gi-Oh! Review, and today I'm reviewing Structure Deck Invincible Fortress. This is a deck that's more focused around flip summoning, so you get our monsters are face down and you flip them face up, and in the case of these monsters, you reveal them, you end up triggering their effects, because they activate with their flip summon, which means, yeah, as I said, you put them face down, and you flip them face up, they'll be in attack position generally, in that particular case at that point, but then you get to pull off some effects, and the main monster in this Structure Deck, Exod, Master of the Guard, actually uses that to your advantage by dealing them 1,000 points of damage for every Earth monster you flip summon. Here it is. Has the highest printed defense at the time. So it's like, I guess, the monster with the highest defense without really any attack points either. I mean, it's got 4,000. Pretty high for, and it's basically it only requires one tribute. Any Sphinx monster you want, so. And since that would include ones like Hyriko Sphinx and Cryo Sphinx, they count, because they're Sphinx monsters too. Not bad for a high defensive monster. Of course, now we've also got ways to special summon it without having to use that. Of course, you won't be able to do any damage with it because of the effect. Because the card I'm talking about is a wild monster appears. Until you bypass it, it's level 8. Right? Level 8. Yeah, it's level 8, so I probably wouldn't recommend doing that because, I mean, again, it's not that hard to summon. All you need to do is get either Sphinx face down. You'll probably end up, and there's also Guardian Sphinx, which also is included in this. And as for extra deck monsters, I've included, you probably saw a couple of them at the beginning here. They are a lot of the same monsters, mostly somewhat generic, just to make it easier to kind of, start out, and then I can always improve them. Got 2 Gemnite Pearls here. These are Xyz monsters. They have no effects whatsoever. Just the materials they require. Relatively strong for level 4. Not too bad. And I've got 2 similar looking monsters, but they are not the same. We've got Leo Drake over here and Leo Keeper of the Trees, oddly enough. They're both similar in terms of appearance as well as... I mostly chose them, because Leo Drake here is another generic monster like Gemnite Pearl. And this guy's a little bit stronger. He has basically a basic immunity to your opponent's card effects, except during main phase 2, as long as they target, which is, I think, these days probably a lot higher that they target than don't target, but there are effects that, we got effects that do both. I mean, Mirror Force can still get by it. I mean, 3,100, this guy has 3,100 attack points. Pretty decent. Let's see, the materials are, yeah, it's generic as well, pretty much. So, they're all generic. That's kind of what I started with, just to kind of get going here. And as for the cards, one of the other new cards you get in this structure deck is Canyon, which helps you deal double for defensive monsters. So if you have high defense, and a lot of the monsters in this set do, then you'll do a lot of damage. I've also thrown in cards like Scapegoat, because I mean they're also Earth, so they fit nicely, and of course it's a nice stall card. I mean, I would argue that it's pretty good as a whole. I mean, it's a great stall card. You got lots of tributes you can use them for, but of course you can't use them for tribute summon, obviously. But I mean, they work for high defense. They've also included Mirror Force. I mean, that's a staple. Still, even today, it can still have a lot of uses. There's some pretty decent reprints in here too. I mean, some of the cards are I think a good number of these cards would Pharaonic Guardian, for the most part. Really old set. I think they also came out in Dark Evolution Volume 1, but I don't think they were that much easier to get. There's Mega Rock Dragon. This was included in this structure deck. It was a super rare when it first came out in the Lost Millennium. But of course, you've also got cards that'll help them out, since a lot of them have high defense. You've got Shield and Sword to flip them around and make them temporary beat sticks for the turn. I've also included cards like Star Drawing. This really helps with Xyz summoning. You can also do rank 4 or rank 5 based on its effect, which is pretty cool. And then you draw a card after that. So, I mean, it's relatively short printed. So, getting your hands on that is relatively difficult. Although, you see, I got one here. I managed to pull it out of a pack. So, I've also got a couple Naturize Stink Bugs. Good for stall, really. This card is foil. I don't know if you can see it that well in this image here, but it's got a holo foil on it. This is from the Hidden Arsenal set. Got a couple copies of those in here. But a lot of these cards, I think, were mostly either hard to get, or here's another card I've included here. This card was secret when it first came out, but it's actually pretty good. I mean, you can tribute an Earth monster and then wipe out all monsters who have defense less than or equal to the attack of the tributed monster. So even itself, this can get rid of the monarchs on its own. And if you go higher than that, you can get rid of high monsters like Jinzo. You can get rid of Blue Eyes if you want. It's really going to depend on what you tribute in terms of defense points. This can really help, especially in this deck, because they have like high defensive monsters. You got, and of course, it includes reprints of, I think Stone Statue of the Aztecs is in here, along with some of the monsters that don't really do anything in terms of when they're flip summoned. Here's Stone Statue of the Aztecs right here. I've managed to get this card, get Mega Rock Dragon relatively strong. It only relies on rock-type monsters for the most part. Gains 700 attack and defense. It's like 700 attack times the number of rock-type monsters you banish for its effect to bring it out. Which can be pretty decent. I mean, if you get 6, that's 4,200. I mean, even if it's just 1, you've got enough for Exceed Summoning if need be. It's level 7 anyway, so... Let's double check. I think it is level 7. Yeah, it should be. It's either 7 or 8. I think it's 7. Just had it. Yeah, here it is. Yeah, it's level 7. And I got cards that, it's. I think the last card they made in here that's brand new is Great Spirit, which is similar. It's a lot like those other monsters. It's not a spirit monster, despite what its name may make you think. It's just a regular effect monster. Allows you to flip its attack and defense. Actually, I think you can flip the attack and defense of any rock-type monster or any earth monster. Yeah. Yeah, on the field in general. So this can help to your advantage as well. And then, yeah, believe it or not, if you notice that the ink is a little more faded. That's the way I got it. I'm not kidding. This is actually how I got that. This deck was mint. I actually ended up buying it. It happens, but that's kind of what it's nothing Konami can really control. It's just the amount of ink they have left wasn't very high. They were printing this. They must have gotten low when they got to that point. But a lot of these cards, some of these cards aren't very great, but I suppose they were due for a reprint. I think that's probably the reason why Konami, including here, you got some of the staples in here. Mystical Space Typhoon, which is right here. Mystical Space Typhoon in this. So I mean, these are. Help if I actually showed it to you. Let me just do it this way. But it's a pretty decent deck, I would say. It's probably a little more outdated now. Because I mean, a lot of certain decks could probably take advantage of this. I mean, some monsters didn't exist. We didn't have. I mean, we didn't have synchros at this point, to my recollection, so we didn't get them until 5D started airing, and then we started actually getting the Duels Genesis and all that, and that's where Red Dragon Archfiend made its appearance. So I think so. A lot of these cards I've included are definitely into the future, if you want to call it that, in terms of release. But yeah, pretty decent structure deck. Especially nowadays, I think there's actually more support, more Earth monsters you could use. And the Super Heavy Samurais, I think, are all Earth monsters, so you could throw them in there. Have a bunch of high defensive monsters, then yeah, and then actually that's actually really good. Now I think about it, because then you got Canyon you can use, force your opponent's monsters to attack your Super Heavy Samurais. They'll generally survive in most cases, especially with Big Bad and K. And you've got Unity you can use with them, so there's a lot of uses with them now than there were when this structure deck first came out. And yeah, your extra deck pretty much had to be fusions, or fusions were pretty much the only extra deck monster I think we had at the time when this came out. And if we did have synchros, they were pretty early. I don't think we didn't have a whole lot of them at the time. But yeah, definitely a decent structure deck if you're a fan of Earth monsters, or you're kind of going to use some of the cards in there to help your own Earth deck or whatever deck you're running. I probably wouldn't recommend just buying the deck just for a few cards. You can just go get those cards for next to nothing. I'm sure you'll probably be able to find them somewhere, either even in the store. I know the tournament store I went to, you can actually buy cards, individual cards. They were generally junk, but you could buy them for 50 cents each, I believe. Last I checked. I haven't been to that tournament in a long time because they stopped having tournaments over there. But yeah, I mean, it's probably better to do it that way. But I mean, it's still a good structure deck to throw cards in there like I did. I I always when I buy these, I end up updating them, give them a little more power than they otherwise would. Although some I can't do. I mean, I'm unable to do the Machine Revolt Structure Deck. So I think that deck is pretty well junk as far as I can tell. But yeah, that's my review on Structure Deck Invincible Fortress. Thanks.